is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break.
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, September 18th, 2019, Season 15, Episode number 46. Welcome to another edition of The Break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. It is Wednesday. The Cowboys are heading into their next game against the Miami Dolphins. We're going to talk about the Dolphins a little bit. But I think there are other things we'll probably want to talk about a little bit more. Dave has his scouting report on the Dolphins offense, how that matches up with the Cowboys defense. And we'll talk a little bit about some injuries on the defensive side of the ball for the Cowboys and how much that may affect this unit, even against a team that you would think they should be able to beat. We'll talk about how maybe those matchups work. And then if we have some time, we'll get to some questions. I know you guys have been sending me questions throughout the morning, so we'll try to get some of your questions answered here in the second and third segments of the show. How's everybody feeling this morning?
Good.
Great. Perfect. Let's jump right in. Let's first talk about one Taco. Taco Charlton was not at practice today. I think we kind of confirmed that he was not there. What does that mean at this point? Because the Cowboys have to make a move today by 3 p.m. To add Robert Quinn officially to the roster. What does that mean?
He's not going to be on this team anymore from what it sounds like, and they're trying to trade him if they can. If they don't, I think they'll just let him go.
Yeah, well said. I don't know. I mean, just like everything else with it, it's just murky. I don't know. Like, he's not here. Jason Garrett didn't say anything about him not being here, but they're out at practice right now, and he's not there, so it's pretty easy to connect those dots, even if we don't have any word from the team officially.
It's frustrating. I get, we kind of heard that and frustrated, hoping that maybe Jason would just say it then, and he didn't. But I mean, if they're trying to trade him and that makes sense.
That would be the main reason why they wouldn't be saying anything, is if they can get something for him. Which, if they could, I feel like they would have done it by now. So I don't know where this is going, but it certainly doesn't look like he's going to be on the team after today.
I would think that there are teams out there that may be starved for a defensive end that don't necessarily think they want to risk the possibility of having to get through waivers. I mean, he is a former first-round pick. If there were teams that liked him going into the draft, maybe they didn't like him as high as the Cowboys did, but maybe they liked him going into the draft. Cowboys do it all the time. They take these guys that other teams kind of cast off, and they say, I think with our coaches, with our system, we saw something that we like. The team that first came to mind for me was a team like the Giants. It's a totally young team. They don't really have a dominant pass rusher. Not that he's necessarily going to step in and be that, but that's the kind of team to me that might take a chance and say, hey, let's bring this guy in. Let's see if we put him in our environment, put him in our program, if we can get the potential out of him that at least somebody thought he could play. Bill Parcells used to always talk about that. Like, if a guy gets drafted high, somebody thought he could play at some point. So is there a chance that you can maybe get something for him? And would one of those teams maybe be willing to step up and say, okay, here, take a 7th-round pick. We're going to bring him in and just see what we can do with him.
Yeah, it's totally possible, and that's probably what's happening right now, is the Cowboys are trying to find somebody who's willing to do that.
The interesting part, too, is that I don't know what the agent's role is on this, because the agent probably doesn't really want to shop him around to try to get a trade, because they'd rather just pick where they want to go, as opposed to, somebody saying, well, we'll trade for him. It's like, well, he doesn't really want to go there. You know what I mean?
Other than if someone picks him up off waivers through a trade or through waivers or trade, then they take the contract. He still gets the money that's on that contract. If he doesn't and he's a free agent, does he get less? Does a team offer him less? Is a team willing to give him what he already has been given from that contract? So that would be a reason why maybe the agent is pushing to maybe get a trade because he can keep that money. Right?
Yeah, but if you get claimed, your contract gets claimed. So unless you clear waivers and then
my point is either way, the agent probably wants either him to be claimed or him to be traded.
Right.
Rather than him being just outright released, because you might not get that money.
Was it Noah Spence? Wasn't he like a high 2nd-round pick?
Yeah.
From a few years ago, and he was just signed by the Redskins. So I think you're right. I think teams will look at it and go, let's take a chance on him. But like you said, if someone was starving for defensive end. I mean, just like in anything, if you were starving, one taco is not going to get it done. I mean, that's just the facts.
I was wondering how long we were going to get into this show.
That's the fact.
I was wondering
really
how far
good.
But
we
if
get
you're
into the show.
starving, you'll take it because you're starving. But you really hope there's like a combo plan.
You don't want a taquito, right? You need a full burrito, like full burrito, everything.
Yeah, those jokes are endless here.
Well, they're about to come to an end, I think. But go ahead.
It's a frustrating thing to have to cover. I'm sure fans are tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of
good team, and it's like we're talking about number 54 on the roster,
right? And they're like it's been going on for 2 weeks without a whole lot in the way of clarity on either side, and I'm just ready for it to not be a story anymore.
Yeah. I wish the best for him if he's not going to be on this team.
I mean, no ill will toward him as a person whatsoever.
I don't think he's a bad person. I think this just wasn't a good fit for him or for the team, personally.
Well, he's not. I don't say he's a bad person at all, but I think I think maturity was an issue here a little bit, especially when it comes to just like what does it mean to be part of the team, and I know he was frustrated, obviously, but he never really, when you don't live up to first round expectations, I mean, it's tough. And
they're there.
And he showed that in one of those games, one of the preseason games. I guess it was San Francisco, and I think we were all standing there and listening, and we had different takes on it. But I just thought right there by listening to it that it was going to be hard. This not going to end well because it just his mindset right there didn't seem like a guy that was hungry. To me, it was kind of like it is what it is, and I'm okay with it. You guys kind of took it differently, but that's okay.
It's sad. I mean,
yeah, you had a sad face. You were like,
well, since training camp, I've been the one saying, okay, he was playing. That was a disappointment or embarrassment or whatever.
Forgot about that.
You did say that.
She did say that.
I did say something
that.
similar to that, but again, it's at the time. Now I just feel bad. Now that I kind of understand the situation a little better. He's a really cool dude. He's a nice guy, but it all comes down to his personality. It just doesn't fit what Rod Marinelli is about. It doesn't fit the guys around him. And when you have that, it creates problems. And then you're not going to be happy. And just walking around unhappy is just going to bring more negativity around you. And I was asking around and trying to figure out, okay, do you guys regret this decision of picking him in the first round? And it came down to no, if we went back, we would have done exactly the same thing because everybody in the room agreed at the time, this is the highest guy that we have on here and who is available at this point. And he fits what we're trying to get and what we need at the time. So sometimes it just works out, sometimes it doesn't. They've gotten really, really lucky with second round picks, third round pick, even fourth round picks. So for those people that get on Twitter and start saying, oh, what a waste of first round pick, some work, some don't. So it is what it is.
That is the way draft go.
You're not going to be 100% in the draft, and this team has been so good through the draft over the last 5 years that it would be silly to try to harp on this. But assuming Taco's time with this team is done, it's going to look mystifying, because it's such an outlier. Not only he never tapped into the talent to justify being the 28th overall pick. And everything he's in the doghouse. His personality kind of clashes with the coaching staff and his teammates. Well, that doesn't sound like the mindset of the guys that they have spent high picks on in the past, right? The whole right kind of guy thing. Line one is and I don't want to accuse Taco of not loving football, but that's the way these lofty picks have been wired to where there's no question about what they're about. You've never, even Zeke, who's had his share of problems, anybody you talk to in the organization will be that dude is he's all business when he's inside those four walls. You never question his commitment. You've never heard anything about him being a bad teammate or a bad football guy. And you have heard whispers and talk about that when it comes to Taco, so not only the on-field aspect of it, but the personality aspect of it, none of it sounds like it meshes with what they've done.
Right, but the problem with that is you never know what you're going to get until you get the guy in the building. And the people that they were talking to, and again, the stuff that's on the street, that's one thing. The stuff that they get when they talk directly to people who are connected to him, who've been around him for years, all of that information is, I'm sure, what they factor in to decide what they think a player's makeup is, their mental makeup, how they view football, what they value, right? And so all you can do really is go by those things and make your best determination and best prediction of what you think that player will be, and then you get them in the building and you may find out there's something different.
And you're absolutely right, but they haven't been wrong very often.
Right.
In the last 5 years.
I wouldn't change. And that's why I go back to what Amber said. And I kind of think, I saw this morning, Dane Brugler, a guy that's worked with us, he was talking about this, and he was like, I think after this, maybe the Cowboys reevaluate how they look at this, because they actually passed up on T.J. Watt because it wasn't as much of as good a fit for what they were trying to do. And my thought was, I don't know that you've been so successful. You don't let one situation that didn't work out for you necessarily make you change your process. If you have a good process and you're doing well, and they have done really well in the draft, I think you stick with your process. Maybe you give it a second thought, like, hey, what did we get wrong on this one? And you rethink how that worked. But for the most part, I think they still kind of go the same way that they've been going, and just say that, hey, there are going to be some times you just don't win in the draft.
There's absolutely no reason to call the way they do the draft into question over this when you look at the wild success they've had everywhere else. But it just looks mystifying compared to how good they've been everywhere else. Like, it's, the sore thumb. I mean, it's circle it in bright red, like, whoa, that is way below the standard that they've set everywhere else.
And this really isn't the first time that a first-round pick has played like this after 3 years. It's just one of the first times that they've said, you know what, like, Jason Garrett doesn't have a contract for next year, so what do I care about the future and how these drafts look? I mean, let's get the best 53 guys out there and the best 46 guys, and, if he's a first-round pick,
Who's making that call, though?
I mean, both of them probably. I mean, but Jason's making the call for who's playing,
right?
So, and then they're making the call for I mean, I just think that the philosophy change is like we don't really care where you were drafted, and we saw that with some of the drafts this year. They cut the 5th round pick, Mike Jackson, because he didn't do anything, and they cut Taco. They gave him a few years, but he hasn't done anything. So, Dorrance Armstrong is better, Kerry Hyder is better, and Joe Jackson was better. So. I mean, I just think that before, though, they used to not do that. More politics got involved. Now it's not as much, that's refreshing.
It's also a sign of a lot more talent on the team, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to do that as much. It's harder to make this team. It's harder to make the 46. It's harder to be a starter because you got a lot of talent in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to get into the Miami offense. Dave's going to give us a scouting report. Then we'll get to some questions. You guys can hit me on Twitter at Derek Eagleton. We'll also take calls, 888-855-2297. We'll be right back. This is The Break.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right, news and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
The excitement of Dallas Cowboys football is back at AT&T Stadium.
The place is going crazy in Arlington, Texas.
Don't miss your chance to see the Cowboys live when they host their NFC East rivals, the Eagles, Giants, and Redskins, plus the Green Bay Packers and more.
Elliott works his way through and walks the dog.
Single game tickets are on sale now. Get them before they're gone.
First and goal, quarterback sneak. Prescott pushes up the middle. Touchdown.
Visit DallasCowboys.com to get your tickets today.
Back
to the break.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're talking a little bit about the Taco, but we're going to get into the Miami Dolphins offense. Dave, you did a scouting report on them.
Yeah.
Tell me what you found.
It would be easy to make jokes. And, we can.
And you're a
if you want
jokester.
I am.
You're good at telling
But
jokes.
people make jokes about the Cowboys all the time. Just go for it.
I'm going to tell you what I watched both of their games. The offense, I'll watch defense tonight. I watched both of their games. And, yeah, it looks really bad. Like, there's no way around it. But, they pay these guys, too, so you never know. They're 32nd in the league in total offense with 192 yards per game. They're not even cracking 200 yards.
I heard that last week they were at 38 yards, total yards, in the fourth quarter of the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
160 pass yards per game. That's 30 give or take rush yards per game. They're scoring 5 points per game because they scored 10 against Baltimore and none against New England. It's not good. Their offensive line is a who's who of guys I've never heard of before. Laramie Tunsil no longer plays there. Ryan Fitzpatrick, you all know who he is, which as of right now, we're not 100% sure if it'll even be Fitzmagic. It might be Josh Rosen, who they traded for in the offseason. I like their running backs. They're not insanely you probably don't want either one of them starting for you maybe, but Kenyon Drake is a fun kind of do everything guy. I remember really liking Kalen Bailich coming out of Arizona State. He's 6'2", 230, kind of a bulldozer guy.
What How about his stats though?
Oh, I mean, well, nobody's stats on this team are good.
His stats, seriously, but his stats, I think he's had 5 carries this year for 9 yards.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not.
Do the math.
Might be 9 for 5. Actually.
I'm not trying to paint this guy. I'm not trying to paint either player as a great player, but this offensive line is trash. We're gonna get into it. It's awful. It's really bad. Devontae Parker, who you would call a disappointing first-round pick. Albert Wilson, who I believe spent time with Washington.
Can you call him a disappointment? Because but the reason why I say that is because I think he's had some seasons where he was obviously much better than he is right now. But can you also? I mean, he hasn't had a good quarterback. When has he had a quarterback that was worth anything?
I mean, they bought enough of Tannehill to pay him, so that's on them. If he wasn't a good quarterback.
We all know where's Tannehill now. I mean.
Who's thrown all those amazing passes to DeAndre Hopkins? Please do tell.
That would be one. Why am I
Deshaun Watson, who hasn't played a full season yet.
But he's
DeAndre
really
Hopkins has balled with a lot
early
of
in his
bad
career,
quarterbacks.
But you're talking about one of the best in the league. I'm not saying Devontae Parker's one of the best in the league.
I can't let you do this, Derek. Devontae Parker's best season of his career is 56 catches for 744 yards.
Yep,
it's disappointing.
It's disappointing.
Okay, I'm saying, but how much of that do you put on the quarterback?
Some.
If you're 14,
okay, that's all I'm saying. You have to put some of that on the quarterback.
I like to see last week's game, but he was targeted 7 times. How many catches?
How many of them ended up in the dirt?
Don't know, but
I'm just saying
0.
Don't know. All right, we'll get there.
Right. I shouldn't take a whole segment though, right?
Yes. We're going all in on the Dolphins.
All right.
I really like Jakeem Grant out of Texas Tech. He's a kick return speedster specialist. He's Tavon. If he was your 5th or 6th receiver, you'd feel really good about it. But he's like their 2nd or 3rd receiver. It's not great.
You keep saying it's not great.
It's not. I'm trying to be nice. Here's the one nice thing I'll say for the Dolphins is I wonder how much this is skewed, but by what I assume is an absolutely atrocious defense. I haven't watched them yet, but I wrote this down. The Ravens scored touchdowns on their first 3 possessions of the game. So you're in a 21-0 hole at the start of the second quarter. Patriots were only up 13-0 at half, but then they scored 3 of their first 4 drives of the second. So, again, not saying they're good, but you're one-dimensional out of the gate. They're averaging 30 rushing yards per game because they can't. You can't run the ball when you're losing by 20 points.
The defensive coordinator is saying, you know what? Our offense didn't score their first 3 possessions of the game. So we're already down one-dimensional because our offense isn't scoring.
All I know, we're sitting there in Washington okay, the first 3 possessions haven't been good, but you're only down by 7 points. It matters.
How's their kicker? Can they?
I don't know. He hasn't had it.
Hey,
his one.
We have a caller, right? Is it Mrs. Hearns?
I don't think so.
Is it?
I've
Alan
never
Hearns?
actually. I felt devastated last night. I was watching on my laptop on my couch, taking notes, and in the fourth quarter of this 43-0 blowout, Hearns gets in the game, and Fitzpatrick's. I'm just like, Allen, no, come on.
What was he supposed to do?
He's supposed to be back here because I like Allen Hearns, and I feel bad that he's stuck in that mess.
Right. He's watching Devin Smith score.
Seriously,
like, all right. Not that he would.
No, I was about to say I don't know that he would be able to do that. But
no,
is Bryce still over there?
No, he got cut, didn't he?
I
thought he got cut coming out of camp.
All right, here are my notes. I write my notes in my voice. So giving up tons of pressure on the edge. Fitzpatrick interception on third snap of the game. Down 14-0 after 2 possessions. Lots of throws to the line of scrimmage. Like, basically, this is what they do. They throw bubble screens and tunnel screens to the receivers to get the ball out of Fitzpatrick's hands as quickly as possible because he doesn't have time. Or they play fake, and he throws a jump ball to Devontae Parker, which I think has worked twice.
Not last week.
Devontae Parker, he's a high point guy. He can, that's what he can do. He can go up and sky over people. And literally, if he's getting the ball, it's 35 yards down the field with 2 guys draped over him. And they're just like, please catch this. Ravens pushing the F out of the pocket. That's what I wrote. He's just got guys in his lap.
Oh, wow.
And Fitz is making tons of these throws on the run. He's maybe got a second and a half before he's trying to step up and get to the right or the left so he can get on the move.
Anything that's half decent. I don't even want it to be good. Anything that's just hey, this one thing, if you put them in the right situation, they may actually be able to do something with this.
They don't give up 60.
Only
they don't.
43.
They do not.
Is that the best we can say?
They don't give up 60 points.
That's the defense. We'll deal with them tomorrow. Give me something half decent about the offense.
Their field goal in week 1 came from 54 yards.
So the kicker could kick from long distances. That's good.
He did on that occasion. I'm biased because I do the draft show. Another guy I feel bad for. I like Mike Kosecki. He's their best tight end. He's not well-rounded. He's a receiver tight end. He does that type. He's got nice hands. You can see the mark of a good receiver. He snatches the ball. When the ball actually gets thrown to him, he does do that. He's had a couple of nice catches this year. He had a 26-yarder against Baltimore. He had a couple nice ones over the middle against New England.
And I read an article that the word atrocious was the way to describe his blocking.
He's not.
In the Patriots game, apparently it was
my
so
note.
bad.
My note here was LOL Kosecki, way to block, bro.
Oh, that's it.
That's literally he just kind of love tapping defensive ends on their way past him. It's not great. He's not. If you're not, you don't want him to block. Which I thought their interior offensive line was honestly better against New England, but then 4 different times you see New England's edge rushers come around and push Fitzpatrick up into the pocket to the point where then the defensive tackle is just hugging him. It's their offensive line's not good.
So you're saying Cowboys will just pad stats
will they score?
This week?
I mean, yeah, they'll probably score. They'll
in the
probably
first half.
I doubt it. I don't think.
They've scored 10 points all season, right? And they've given up 102.
100.
They'll score. They'll score just because, again, the Cowboys' defense has played kind of soft at the end of these games. The first 2 weeks, they gave up Evan Ingram had a pat-statting touchdown. I just said pat-statting. Stat-padding touchdown at the end of that game. Yeah, they'll score, probably, just because you don't see NFL teams get shut out 2 weeks in a row very often. But, it won't be a lot.
Okay, so let me ask you.
And it shouldn't be impressive. I'm judging this game. LSU played Northwestern State on Saturday, and the LSU fan base was irate that Northwestern State scored 14 first half points. They lost 65-14, but that's the standard. And I'm sort of judging this game based on that. If it's in doubt going into halftime, that you should be disappointed. That's not good.
So you've watched a lot of NFL football. You grew up a Saints fan, so
yes,
you've watched some bad football.
I've watched a lot of bad football.
Is this the worst team that you've ever seen, NFL team, in 2 games that you've watched over 2 games?
I think it's
There's a stat for that. You can answer it, but
I saw on SVP's Sports Center the other night. It's the worst scoring margin. It's tied for the 3rd worst scoring margin in the history of the league, and one of those teams was the Decatur Staleys.
The Rochester.
The freaking, the Rockhounds from 1922. So they're flirting with historic ineptitude. But I will say, everybody, it's like the meme culture where everybody's so quick to pile on. They'll they'll probably figure something out and approach something resembling competence.
Maybe. But the problem is they're doing what I never wanted to see happen in the NFL, which is the true tank.
The Browns did it too.
The Browns, they really just we're giving everybody away. It's a fire sale. Whoever you want, come get them. That's what it feels like with the Dolphins.
It does. And they might be. I don't know. I mean, the Browns went 0-16, but that's kind of my point. Is even the 0-16 Browns gave a couple teams a game.
Right. It didn't look like this, and that's my point. I think. But that's looking like this because here's my point with the Dolphins. I think not only are they giving away or they're letting talent go in there, they're getting back picks, so that's their strategy, I assume. But at the end of the day, they still look at this, and this is. I don't know. I wonder if the locker room is now if they don't want to win, then what are we doing here?
No, for sure.
And so it's almost like you get into these games and their players are basically, things go wrong. They just kind of give up a little bit. That's what I'm wondering about, and that's where it can become a bigger problem for the rest of the NFL, that this is just such an easy game for everybody.
This is a longer conversation than we maybe have time for, but I do I'm pro tank in the sense of I get what they're doing, acquire draft picks, make your team better. Look how quickly Cleveland turned their roster around after they decided to do it. At the same time, you can't commit to it on such a level that your locker room just completely loses hope that they'll ever be happy again. If a 22-year-old first-round pick, Minkah Fitzpatrick, is begging off your team after a week, then how are you supposed to get better? He's supposed to be part of the core that you're building for the future, and he's nah, dude. So I don't know. I think trying to be bad to get picks makes sense, but I don't know if you can commit to it on such a level, especially in a sport that literally risks your life. I don't know if you can commit to it so much that these guys just have no hope whatsoever. But history leads me to believe that they won't be good, but they'll kind of sort it out and won't be losing by 40 points every week, I hope.
The test will be, does every team take them seriously? That'll be the part that where they can sneak up on a team one week and just happen to make some magic work that gets them either a win or close to a win just because teams don't take them serious.
Can I read? I'm stealing my favorite college football podcast is called The Solid Verbal, and they do this when an offense has a really bad performance. I'm going to read you their drive charts, the results of their drives from the first and second half. Against New England, first half, punt, 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 punt. Second half, interception, punt, punt, pick six, turnover on downs, interception.
Oh, I got it.
That's how
they do well.
That's how it ended.
Their punt team doesn't allow any blocks.
Good. Okay, that's something we can work with.
You're not blocking that.
Yeah, that's something we can work with.
What I'm watching for, I think tackling is big here because they try a lot of short stuff. Fitzpatrick doesn't have time to do the traditional stuff. So, I mean, like I said, more bubble screens in 2 games than I'm used to seeing from most NFL teams.
Sounds like a college game.
Yeah, exactly. Very, Baylor.
Yeah.
Baylor type stuff.
Texas does it a lot.
Get it to the fast guys on the edge as quickly as you can because we're not going to have much of a pocket. So how the linebackers and DBs tackle is probably important. And I bet you there will be some F it, I'm going deep moments from Fitzpatrick, because that's option number 2. That's really,
and he can sling it too. I mean, he can do that. He can do that. That's part of his game.
Those are the only things that I saw that worked. I'm not going to say consistently because they didn't, but they're the only things I saw that really worked. Period.
I would say from the defensive line perspective on going up against that offensive line, there are going to be some changes this week. I mean, just because it doesn't sound like Antoine Woods will be ready to play. He might do something today, Garrett said. Tristan Hill will probably play there. As for Tyrone Crawford, I don't know, but this hip injury just seems like it's becoming sort of a problem. This might be a game where you rest him.
Yeah.
But then again, Robert Quinn comes in, for that role. So they're pretty deep there on the defensive line. If the guys that aren't playing are Woods and Crawford, and you can replace them with Robert Quinn and Tristan Hill, that's pretty good.
Their only touchdown of the season came against Baltimore when they were down 42-3.
And basically Baltimore was like,
I mean, I don't want to say that for sure, but you tell me how impressed you are. I don't know. You know what? No, I keep saying it's not my job to take them seriously. No, it's their job.
And these fans are listening and probably getting frustrated with us because they're like, this is the NFL. But I'm saying, that doesn't look like an NFL team.
No, exactly. And that's
they look terrible. So Dave's right. There's a reason why there's a 21-point spread. I mean, that's That is unheard of.
I think there's been 35 20-plus point spreads in the history of the league. So
the Cowboys ever been involved in them?
I don't know that, but not anytime recently.
Not that I can ever remember. 21 points. And if they win by 21 points, if they win 28-7, there's going to be people going, just 28?
Yeah, no, seriously. Like
7?
It's almost like those games, you mentioned it earlier, it's almost like those college games that all of our teams play where you're playing Timbuktu State and you're like, we're expecting to put up 50 points and we only hold them to 10, right? And if you don't, then you're disappointed because you're like, if we can't do that against them, then what are we going to do against the other competition?
For yourself. I'm an Arkansas fan. We need to win those games. So
just get a win?
Yeah.
If the Cowboys win this game 35-17, which we all were very happy with against the Giants,
there's going to be some questions.
The tone of this show on Monday won't be good.
The Saints will take advantage of them. You can't do that against the Saints.
Yeah.
It depends what they're doing on the field. You know, I don't know. The score, I don't really judge a game by the end score. I mean, depends what you're doing in there. You know, you talked about Dak. Who was it that was asking if he'll still be in the second
they
half
asked me
of
on
the
the
game
radio
or something?
if he'd be in at halftime.
Again, you don't know what the Cowboys are going to do, and I think this is the perfect game for this defense to get back to where they need to get back to. Mm-hmm. You know, them regaining that confidence, that power, that excitement, and all of that, them making big plays, which will play into the following week once they have to go up against New Orleans.
Yep. Let's take our final break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about this game. Maybe take some questions. We'll get some questions. Call us 888-855-2297 is the number. We'll be right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not too...
It's right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store and learn how to buy one smartphone and get a second one on us. Based on GWS 1 score, September 2018.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox? The makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crock pot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True. They even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Back to the break.
Single game tickets are still available, sort of. Cowboys at AT&T Stadium, Sunday, September 22nd. Don't roll your eyes at me. Roll your eyes at me. Miami Dolphins come to town. We've been talking about it. Get your tickets now at DallasCowboys.com.
Do that. Go
Get
check
your
it out.
tickets at DallasCowboys.com.
You talk so bad about the Miami Dolphins. Why should fans come to this
Because they're coming
game?
to see the Cowboys because they're Cowboys fans.
Honestly, this would be, if I was going to go to a game,
This would be a fun one.
I want to go to this game.
And you want to just be cheering because you get to cheer all the touchdowns, all the turnovers.
Drink beer,
it's a party. It's a party.
Do the wave.
I'm trying to not be stressed on my football Sunday, and this should be about as unstressful an NFL game as we've seen.
This is the kind of game that's fun and entertaining to bring your kids to because you're not so intent. Cowboys up by 17. You can, we'll go get some popcorn. Let's go get some popcorn. Let's go get some cotton candy.
How many fans are going to be there in the fourth quarter?
That's going to be a tough one. I don't know.
It is going to be like a college game.
It will.
That's, watching the tape on Game Pass, which nobody's paying me to say this. Like, if you can afford it, I highly recommend it. It's so fun to be able to, watch and see the actual X's and O's side of football. But I think it was 42-10 at the end of the first half, and the Dolphins scored on the Ravens right before halftime, and there were already almost nobody in the stands, and there's 15 Dolphins fans celebrating in the end zone. It's like, respect to you guys for still being there.
All right, let's take some calls. We got a couple calls rolling in here. Let's take a call from Jordan in Odessa. Jordan, what up?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Love the show. One of my favorite. It's on the website.
Thanks.
Dave, you're one of my favorite follows on Twitter.
Appreciate that.
So I had a quick statement and a question for you guys. First, I've been following the Cowboys for a long time, pretty much my whole life. I don't think I've ever seen a Dallas Cowboys team that has really celebrated with each other. The locker room has been together the best that I've ever seen. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but every time they get a good stop or a touchdown or anything, they all come together and celebrate together, and it just shows the type of locker room that we have, and I think that's awesome, and it makes me excited for the rest of the season. Now, my question is, going into this game, Xavier Woods is out. Big loss. That sucks. I know Darian Thompson is probably going to get the start, but are they going to do kind of a rotation with Donovan Wilson to get him some game reps? How do you guys see that playing out? Is Kayvon Frazier going to get some reps in there as well? I just would like to know your guys' thoughts on that safety position and where that's going to go going forward.
All right, great. Thank you for the call. Let's start first with the Wilson, Thompson, Frazier.
I think
there's going to be a rotation?
Active will play. I really do, just because of the style of game that it'll probably lead to. If it's close, then you'll go with your starters more. But I would think that this would be a game where it would probably be good for Donovan Wilson to get in there if he's healthy and ready to go. He has been practicing. So I think for Kayvon, I think they all kind of get in there.
Yeah, I lean toward, like he said, the Thompson initially at least getting the majority of it. Maybe they'll mix guys in. We've seen them do that, and Kayvon will come in for a series or so. And honestly, depending on how long Woods is out, you probably want him to be out there just to get that feel for it. I hope Donovan Wilson gets to play a lot in the second half, because it means it's not a dramatic game. And again, you don't see opportunities like this. You see it in college all the time. You don't see this in the NFL where you can throw a rookie out there in a not very high stakes situation and let him get a feel for it. So that's certainly my hope. We'll see. It sucks. They don't like to tell us exactly how they're going to do it, so we'll have to wait and see. But that's my guess.
Speaking about the locker room, Amber, what are your thoughts there on this team being his thoughts that this is that part of the strength of the Cowboys is in the fact they have a strong locker room and a team that seems to be very much together?
I absolutely agree. From the time I've been working here, this has been the best locker room that I've seen so far. The energy is great. Everyone gets along. The only one person was Taco, a little bit. That was a loner, type of stuff. But other than now, he's gone. Now everybody else, we think. Yeah, we think. Yeah. But aside from that, that's the beauty of this thing. How much support you get from each other. You really truly see players supporting each other. One of my best things that I loved seeing is, DeMarcus Lawrence. Even last year, him bringing Dorrance Armstrong, taking him under his wing, making him a part of things, pushing him. Sean Lee with Leighton Vander Esch kind of taking up his role, still helping him out, even though he's kind of taking his job away from him. But there is not animosity there. There's love and care and support. Everyone it's headed towards the same goal as a unit. So that's really, really good to see.
All right, let's take another call. Actually, before we get to that call, let's take a quick one from Twitter. Nacho sends this question. He says, how many snaps do you expect Quinn to have, and on what side predominantly? What do you guys expect to see from him this weekend?
Taco and Nacho on the same show?
Yeah.
That was a Nick comment. I'm sorry. He's going to play right end. That's what he does. He hasn't played anywhere else since he got here. And I would guess it's hard to. I mean, let's say they play 65 snaps of defense. I would guess he plays a little bit less than half of that, like somewhere between 25 and 30 plays.
A couple things to monitor is not only the injury to Tyrone Crawford with his hip. Is this just a normal Wednesday rest day for him, or is this something more serious? So that's what we got to figure out. And then also the hand injury for Robert Quinn that he had. I still think he would be able to play, but it might be something where it's going to be wrapped up still pretty good. So just a couple of things.
What are y'all's expectations for him? Because even prior to the hand injury at training camp, from what I remember, he wasn't playing well, at least not to what we thought, given the fact that he is a veteran with experience.
We will all say the same thing here, I think.
Tyron
Smith.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have a
Tyron Smith.
I don't remember him, I don't remember him being bad.
Yeah, I don't think
he wasn't. He wasn't tackle falling
He was
on
just
the ground,
he wasn't beating Tyron. I mean, that's what we were saying. He wasn't beating Tyron, and guess what? A lot of guys aren't going to beat Tyron. You're not going to face Tyron every week either.
What was the last day he practiced? Like August 5th? I mean, it didn't feel like he had a very long camp.
It's been
anyway.
a long time since
I've already said
on the field.
I personally think he'll be the second leading sack guy on this team this year. So we'll see if that plays out that way, but that's what I expect from him.
Well, it doesn't look that hard to do right now.
That's my point. I mean, we went into the season saying Malik's going to be a beast this year. Malik's made a couple plays, but Malik's not getting sacks so far, and the only guy that's really getting sacks is Tank.
Tank has one. Tyrone has one.
Yeah.
I mean,
I will say this:
half a
Tank has been probably the guy that's gotten more pressure and been more disruptive than anybody else by far.
I'm not trying to talk trash. I think Tank has been really good.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen him get to the quarterback. Anybody really so far.
Watch, they'll explode this week with 10.
My expectation for Quinn right now is to be on the field and be active. Like after being gone for a month and being suspended, I don't need him to set the sack record right now, but get out there, look solid and active. But if they can't generate some pressure in this game, then like I said, if they don't look really pretty good in this game, then I'm concerned. Like they should finish with sacks plural in this game.
Here's a fun stat that I bet you it's never happened for the Cowboys before. The only guy on the team that has a full sack does not have a tackle. I bet you that. I bet you don't find that around the league.
Not a single tackle in 2
games. Because Tyrone's the only guy that has a sack.
I didn't realize. So Tanks is a half.
Who
did he share it with?
Leighton kind of got there.
Yeah, that's true.
Same time. Crawford doesn't have a tackle. It's just a little surprising, just because he's in the game, because he helps with the run support and all that, but hasn't had one yet. Interesting.
We appreciate you joining us. We're back tomorrow. We'll be at our normal time. We'll get into the Miami Dolphins defense. Maybe they're a little bit better. Who knows? We'll talk about that tomorrow. For Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?